At a KFC just down the street, my disabled brother was kicked in the chest by a woman in pearls because his hands were shaking while holding fries. She slammed his head into the table, called him a disease, laughed, live-streamed it. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a knife. So I picked up a Coke can and shattered her face in front of everyone and threw her into the fryer. But that was just the beginning. You're not ready for what happened next. There's a kind of peace that settles over a place like KFC on a slow Tuesday. The smell of fried chicken in the air, the low hum of conversation, kids dipping greasy fingers into paper tubs. It's not glamorous, but for us, me and my little brother, it was sacred. He's 14, born with a neurological condition that makes his hands tremble and his words slow, like each syllable is wading through molasses. But his heart? Gentle. Always was. He never asked for much. Just one thing every week. Garan, crispy fries, a paper cup of root beer, and the corner booth by the window. That was our ritual. That day he wore his favorite jacket, blue denim with frayed sleeves and a tiny pin of the American flag on the collar. He stood in line, gripping the tray with both hands, trying to keep it steady. His face focused, determined not to spill the fries. It took all of him just to balance that tray. I watched from our booth, hands folded, ready to jump up if he needed help. But he didn't want help. Not today. He wanted to do it himself. His eyes flicked toward me and gave the smallest, proudest smile. That's when I saw her. She walked in like she owned the air we breathed. Straight posture, white suit, designer handbag, and judgment seeping from every wrinkle on her powdered face. Her eyes locked on my brother like he was some virus she forgot to vaccinate against. I didn't know who she was yet. I didn't know her name. But I swear to God, I felt something in the pit of my stomach twist. Something told me, she's not done walking, she's heading straight toward him. And this day, our sacred, quiet day, was about to burn. She didn't just enter, she invaded. The door hissed open, and in swept this tall, angular woman like a blade through calm water. Her heels struck the tile in sharp, deliberate clicks, a rhythm that didn't match the relaxed murmur of the restaurant. People turned, subtly. Everyone does when someone walks like that. Not fast, not slow, just full of unspoken threat. White. Everything she wore was white. White blazer, white pencil skirt, white leather gloves tucked under one arm. Even her hair, a platinum bob, ironed flat and severe. And the bag, pearlescent, expensive. It gleamed like it had never seen a public table. She spotted my brother. Her lips tightened into a line so thin, I thought it might slice through her own face. Then came the sneer. Disgust crawled across her expression like a spider. She didn't whisper. She announced, "Of course. Figures someone like that would be here. Filthy little invalids don't belong in public." I shot to my feet, heart slamming against my ribs. My fists clenched before I even realized it. But my brother, God bless him, he kept holding the tray. His hands shook harder now, fries rattling. But he didn't look at her. He looked at me. And he smiled again, even smaller this time. She stepped forward. "Do you hear me?" she barked at him, her voice loud enough to pierce every booth. "Do you people even understand basic hygiene? What if you drop something? What if you touch something?" I moved, fast, but not fast enough. She shoved past the man in front of her, pointed at the cashier, and snapped, "I won't order a damn thing until that creature is gone. You're violating health codes just by letting him in." Silence swallowed the entire restaurant. Even the friars paused. Or maybe that was just in my head. I stood behind her now, breathing through my teeth, fists like stone. "Say another word," I growled. My voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp. "Say one more word, and you'll wish you ordered takeout." She turned. Her eyes widened just for a second. Then she laughed. That brittle, fake laugh you hear at HOA meetings and overpriced charity brunches. "Oh, please. Are you his handler? What is this, some kind of pity day?" She glanced back at my brother, who was still frozen, still clutching that godforsaken tray like it was the last thing keeping him grounded. "He shouldn't even be out here," she spat. He belongs in a care center, with walls and locks. That was it. That was the moment. The storm that had been boiling beneath my skin cracked wide open, and for the first time in years, I stopped caring about how much damage I could cause. If you were already clenching your fists by now, comment the number 7 below. Let's see how many of us would have stood up right then. I felt it before I saw it. The shift, the silence, the snap. Karen's heels scraped against the floor as she shifted her weight. Her eyes had gone hollow, like she'd stopped seeing my brother as a human being and started seeing him as something less. Something she had every right to correct. He didn't even flinch when she stepped closer. He was too focused. 2 trembling hands still wrapped around that tray. Trying, fighting, to keep it steady. That was his quiet kind of bravery. And it burned her. That's when she kicked him. She kicked him. Hard. Right in the shin. A quick, brutal strike. Like she was squashing a rat. His knees buckled. The tray went flying. Fries scattered across the floor like little yellow flags of surrender. The root beer flipped, arcing through the air before crashing down in a burst of foam. Then, worse, his head smacked the tile. I heard it. A sound I'll never forget. A thud. Wet. Final. Gasps exploded around us. A woman shrieked. Someone cursed under their breath. A phone clattered to the ground, but no one moved. Karen stood over him, smug and untouchable, one heel planted beside his ribs. She dusted off her sleeve like she'd just taken out the trash. Maybe now he'll learn not to embarrass himself in public, she hissed. I moved. Didn't think. Didn't breathe. I moved. Shoved the table out of my way so hard it crashed into the wall. I could hear people scrambling, chairs screeching, but my tunnel vision locked on her. My voice cut the air. Get away from him. Now! She didn't. Instead, she laughed. That same shrill, poisonous laugh as before. Like everything was a joke and she was in on the punchline. Then she reached down and grabbed him by the hair. She tried to lift his head, like a damn trophy, like he wasn't even a person. Let's see what kind of family lets trash like this eat out in public. Something broke in me. Something deep. Something old. And I stopped thinking altogether. I didn't walk. I charged. My legs launched before I could even process the screams behind me. All I saw was her, Karen, still gripping a fistful of my brother's hair, smirking like she was proud of it, like she thought she was doing society a favor by humiliating him. Get your hands off him! I roared. She glanced up, slow, lazy, entitled. Oh, please, she scoffed. Are you his keeper now? Your little pet can't handle fast food without supervision? I didn't respond. I couldn't. My throat burned with something older than anger, something righteous. I reached the counter, and my hand snatched the nearest thing. A cold, unopened can of Coca-Cola left behind on a tray. Condensation dripped down its sides. It felt perfect in my palm. Solid, heavy, final. Back. Away. My voice was low, controlled, but every syllable throbbed with warning. Karen turned fully to face me, still holding my brother by the hair. She jerked his head slightly, just to provoke me. Touch me, she spat. And I swear... Crack. I swung. The Coke can slammed into her forehead with a sharp, sickening pop. The aluminum crumpled inward. Her head snapped back with the force of it, and for a second, just a second, her feet lifted off the ground. The sound of impact silenced the entire room. Root beer and blood mixed on the tiles beneath her. Karen staggered, dropped my brother, then collapsed like a felled statue, one arm knocking over a tray stand on her way down. Gasps echoed. Phones rose like a forest of witnesses. Some covered their mouths. Others didn't. Someone whispered, "Holy shit." I didn't move. Not yet. I stood over her, chest heaving, the dented can still in my grip. She tried to sit up, tried to say something, but all that came out was a slurred, wet hiss, followed by a string of ketchup sliding down her cheek. He's not trash, I growled. He's better than you'll ever be. I dropped the can next to her face. It rolled once, tapped her lip, and in that moment I didn't feel fear, or shame, or doubt. only clarity. Karen didn't stay down. I should have known better. She groaned, rolled halfway onto her side, and blinked like she couldn't quite believe she'd been hit. Her fingers twitched near the Coke can. Blood trickled from her brow into her eye, and she wiped it with the back of her hand, smearing it across her face like war paint. You'll pay for that," she rasped. "You just assaulted a lady." I didn't answer. I was already kneeling beside my brother, checking his head, his eyes, his breath. He was dazed but conscious. A shallow cut on his temple, maybe. I'd get him to a hospital. We'd file charges. But then I heard it. The snap of a magnetic clasp. The whisper of faux leather peeling back. I turned, instinct on fire, and saw her hand disappear into her purse. Her face twisted with hate, rage, and something more dangerous. Intent. She pulled out a knife. Not big, not flashy. A simple silver folding blade. Compact, efficient, sharp. "You think you're some hero?" she snarled, dragging herself upright against the table leg. "You think you can lay hands on me and walk out? No, not after what you did to my face." Her eyes, wide, unblinking, predator's eyes, locked on mine. "I'm going to make you just like him," she said. Shaking, broken, small. She lunged, not fast, clumsy, bloodied, furious, but with the kind of madness that didn't care about logic or consequence. I surged up, grabbed the nearest tray, and swung it like a shield. The knife clanged off the plastic. Sparks flew. Her scream tore through the restaurant like a siren. "You brought a knife to a chicken joint?" I barked. "You're insane." She didn't stop. She came again, blade raised, breath ragged, stumbling through a puddle of root beer and ketchup. So I did what instinct screamed. I stepped in, grabbed her wrist, twisted hard. The knife dropped with a clang, and then, with every ounce of control I still had, I shoved her back, straight into the fryer station. She hit the counter edge with her lower back. A basket of hot fries overturned, oil splashing. She shrieked, not just from pain, but from defeat. Her pristine white suit was soaked, stained, ruined. She collapsed again, this time for good. And I stood there, shaking, panting, weaponless now, but more dangerous than ever. Because now, I wasn't just defending my brother, I was defending my life. She pulled a knife. I blocked it with a tray. Now be honest. Are you even still watching? Comment yes if you're here, or no if you blinked and missed it. Karen crumpled like a broken mannequin. Her head smacked the edge of the fryer station on the way down, then slammed flat against the greasy tile. One of her heels skittered off across the floor like a snapped tooth. Her pristine white suit was now streaked with root beer, ketchup, blood, and fryer oil. The smell was sickening. Burnt fabric, sweat, and humiliation. She let out a gurgled moan and curled sideways, clutching her ribs. For a moment, no one moved. Then, applause. Not thunderous, not staged, but real. It started with one man, middle-aged, wearing a worn-out Army veteran cap, who stood up from his booth with tears in his eyes. He pointed at me and said, loud and clear, "You did what we all wish we could do." Then another clap, then another. A woman near the soda fountain whispered to her daughter, "That boy on the floor, he didn't deserve what she did." The tension in the restaurant didn't break. It shifted. Shifted from fear to rage. Shifted from silence to solidarity. Phones were out now. Cameras recording everything. Not just the aftermath. The entire assault. From Karen's first insult to the moment she pulled a knife. People had footage. People had proof. I turned slowly and looked at her. This monster in pearls. She was trying to get up, hands trembling. Her face, still bleeding from the Coke can hit, was twisted with hatred, not remorse. She bared her teeth. "They're going to arrest you, you freak," she spat. "You assaulted a woman. On camera. You're dead. You tried to kill me." I cut her off. "You attacked my disabled brother, in public, in front of 40 witnesses, and you pulled a blade. You don't get to cry victim now." She hissed, actually hissed, and reached toward her purse again. That's when I stepped forward and kicked it across the floor. "No more weapons, Karen. No more poison." I could see the panic setting in behind her eyes now. Not because she was hurt, because she'd lost control. People were circling. The manager finally came out of the back, red-faced, sweaty, but sharp enough to understand the moment. He waved to an employee. "Lock the doors. Police are on their way." Someone from behind me said, "Upload the footage, now. Don't let her rewrite what happened." And suddenly Karen looked very small, very breakable. She slumped back down, her voice cracking. "This wasn't supposed to happen. I'm on the HOA board. I own half this plaza. You're nothing. I'm the reason you'll never step foot in this place again," I snapped. And for the first time since she walked in, Karen didn't have a comeback. Just a whimper. Just silence. And the sharp, satisfying click of the front door locking behind her fate. The silence was almost holy. Karen, broken and stained, sat slumped like a collapsed statue in pearls. The crowd held its breath, watching, filming, waiting. And just when it felt like the room had frozen in that moment forever, the back door slammed open. It wasn't the cops. It wasn't sirens. It was a man. Late 40s, civilian clothes, but not casual. Gray jacket, black slacks, no nonsense. He walked with purpose, like he didn't need permission to exist. And clipped to his belt, plain as day, was a federal badge. Department of Justice. People parted instinctively. His presence had weight. He didn't shout. He didn't flash a gun or bark orders. He just stepped into the center of the restaurant, eyes scanning everything. He saw my brother, still lying against the wall, supported by a kind stranger's jacket. He saw Karen, knees dirty, mouth bloodied, red smears on her blazer. And then he saw me. I didn't flinch. I stood tall, arms at my sides, adrenaline still pumping through every vein. "Who started this?" he asked, calm but sharp. "I want phones. Footage. All of it. Now." No one hesitated. 3 people stepped forward at once. Phones unlocked. Videos played. He watched in silence. Scene after scene. Karen's insults, the kick, the hair grab, the Coke can, the knife. His jaw clenched slightly at that one. When it ended, he looked at me. "You're the brother?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, voice rough. "The guy she tried to stab." He nodded once, then to the room. "This man is not to be detained, not questioned, not touched." Karen stirred, her head jerked upward, voice shrill. "Wait, what? He hit me with a Coke can. He threw me into a fryer. That's assault. That's called defense, ma'am," he said coldly. "What you did is called aggravated assault on a disabled person. Federal. And pulling a knife in public? Congratulations. You just leveled up to felony charges." The room exploded, in gasps, in murmurs, in the sound of Karen's breath hitching like a faulty engine. "You can't be serious! I'm on the HOA board!" she shrieked. "I own people like you!" Agent Harris stepped forward, leaned down until he was face to face with her. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "I'm the man they call when the people you think you own start fighting back." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then Harris turned to me, extended his hand. "Good reaction time. Clean strike. Smart restraint. You kept it controlled. If it were me, I wouldn't have." I took his hand. Firm, solid, real. "Thanks," I muttered. I wasn't aiming to be a hero. "You weren't," he said. "You were just a brother, and that's what saved both your lives." The crowd clapped again, but this time it wasn't for violence, it was for justice. Karen sat slouched on the greasy tile, clutching her side like she'd just been hit by a truck. Her white blazer, once crisp and pristine, was now soaked in a cocktail of ketchup, fryer grease, and shame. Her hair clung to her forehead in bloody strands. She looked like a woman who had tried to play queen and ended up as a cautionary tale. But even now, she couldn't stop herself. She raised her chin, looked around the room, and spat blood to the side. "This isn't over," she croaked. "You're all just sheep. I've got lawyers, Friends in city council. Cameras lie. People twist things. Agent Harris didn't even blink. He stood with arms crossed, watching her unravel like a snagged thread. Funny, he said calmly, because the only thing twisting here is your story. Karen bared her teeth. Her voice got louder, shriller, more unhinged. This is cancel culture. This is harassment. That man, she pointed at me with a trembling finger. He assaulted me with a weapon. You all saw it. We saw it, I snapped. We saw you kick my disabled brother to the ground, grab his hair like a trophy, and then pull a knife when someone finally stopped you. That was self-defense, she shrieked, eyes bulging. He came at me. I feared for my life. He's a lunatic. He's dangerous. Just look at him. Agent Harris stepped closer, gaze sharp enough to draw blood. No, ma'am. I looked. I watched. I reviewed every angle. What I see is a man who showed more restraint than I would have in his shoes. She froze. That line cracked something in her, because in that moment she realized no one was coming. No lawyer, no HOA board member, no carefully worded statement. No one was going to spin this for her. She was bleeding on a fast food floor, surrounded by strangers who'd seen her at her most vile, and not one of them would speak in her defense. A teenage girl near the window muttered, "You messed with the wrong family." A man near the counter added, "You drew a knife over fries and ego." Karen tried to push herself up. Her legs trembled. Her voice broke. "You don't understand," she whispered. "People like him, they make the neighborhood dirty. They ruin everything." I stepped forward, voice low but firm, laced with iron. My brother is this neighborhood. His kindness, his honesty, his courage, that's what builds a community, not your stupid lawn inspections or HOA citations. You're filth, I added. You hid behind rules to hurt people too gentle to fight back, and when someone finally did, you folded. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just air. Just failure. Agent Harris looked down at her one last time. "You're not under arrest, yet," he said. "But the police are en route, and when they arrive, you'll be read your rights. You'll be charged, and you'll be treated exactly the way you treated others." Karen didn't speak. She just leaned against the wall, eyes distant, chest rising in shallow gulps. She looked smaller now, not physically, spiritually. She had come in swinging power like a hammer. Now she sat in a puddle of everything she thought made her untouchable. The door buzzed. The first squad car pulled up. As they entered, Agent Harris turned to me, gave me a short nod. "You're done here. Walk your brother out. Let her rot in her mess." And that's what I did. No cuffs, no apology, no retreat. Just me, my brother, and the truth finally standing taller than her HOA throne. 1 week later, we walked back through the same doors. Same KFC. Same soft lighting. Same buzzing overhead lights and smell of grease in the air. But everything felt different. Not because the building had changed, but because we had. My brother was walking steadier now. The bruises had faded, and the cut above his brow had almost healed. But the biggest difference? His shoulders weren't hunched anymore. He wasn't hiding. We walked in together, heads high, side by side. This time, I carried the tray. People looked up. Some recognized us. Others just stared. A few started whispering. I didn't care. Neither did he. We weren't here to relive anything. We were here to reclaim it. The same manager from before, gray hair, glasses, the kind of man who'd seen everything and still managed to smile, stepped out from behind the counter. This time, he didn't hesitate. He walked straight over to us and extended his hand. "I heard everything," he said. "Saw it too. You two handled it with more strength and dignity than most people ever will." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal plaque. Simple. Matte black. Engraved in gold. "The Brothers' Table. For those who protect what matters." I stared at it. My chest tightened. My brother looked at me, eyes wide, then back at the plaque. He smiled. Truly smiled, for the first time in days. The manager pointed toward the booth in the back, the same one we always chose. "It's yours," he said. "Forever. Meals are on us. Doesn't matter how long it's been. You walk in, and this table is waiting." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. My throat wouldn't let anything out. We walked to the booth in silence. I set the tray down, helped my brother slide in, then sat across from him. Same fries, same two-piece combo, no root beer this time. He wanted water, said he was trying to cut sugar. I laughed. "Good luck with that," I said, popping open the lid on the mashed potatoes. He grinned, and for a few minutes we didn't talk. We just ate. But the peace was real now. No tension, no dread, no Karen, just us. Halfway through the meal, I noticed a group of teenagers come in. One of them paused by our booth. She looked nervous, maybe 15, with big glasses and a messenger bag. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "Are you guys the ones from the video?" I looked at my brother. He nodded. "Yeah," I said. She beamed. That was awesome. Then she pulled out her phone. Not to film us, but to show us her wallpaper. It was a screen grab of Karen mid-fall, legs in the air, root beer flying behind her like a comet. "Justice," she whispered, and walked away. I didn't laugh. I just felt complete. Karen was charged. 3 counts of felony assault, 1 count of attempted battery with a deadly weapon, and a federal charge for targeting a disabled person. The HOA tried to distance themselves. It didn't work. A petition started. Over 800 signatures in 2 days. Karen was removed. The neighborhood board was dissolved. A new one, community-led, inclusive, and honest, was voted in. People talked about the video for weeks. But I didn't need the world to remember that day. I only needed my brother to remember this one. Because this wasn't the day she fell. This was the day he stood. And I stood with him. And when we finished our meal, we left nothing behind but a clean tray and 2 heartbeats still echoing with quiet fire. Sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom.
It doesn't wear a robe. It doesn't quote the law. Sometimes justice comes from someone who finally says, "Enough." This wasn't a story about revenge. It was a story about dignity, about protection, about the moment when love becomes action, when silence turns into a shield, and fear gets replaced by fire. My brother didn't need a hero. He didn't ask me to fight for him. All he ever wanted was to eat his meal in peace, to exist in a world that didn't point, didn't stare, didn't kick him when he was trying his best to stand. But when someone threatened that peace, I stood up. Not because I'm brave, but because I couldn't let cruelty win. Not while I was still breathing. And here's the truth we all need to remember. Being kind isn't weakness. And defending the vulnerable is never wrong. We live in a world where people like Karen hide behind rules, titles, fake smiles, and HOA committees. They use order as a weapon. They use decorum as a disguise for hate. But they forget something powerful. The quiet ones are watching. And when they rise with purpose. If you've ever been mocked, dismissed, or told you didn't belong, this story is for you. If you've ever had to hold in your rage while someone you love was mistreated, this story is for you. And if you've ever stood up for someone, even when your hands shook, then you already know what justice feels like. If this story hit you deep, drop a comment below. Tell us, have you ever had to protect someone you love? Comment your story, or just type, "He stood." If you felt that final moment, and if you believe in stories that remind us why kindness, courage, and truth still matter, tap that like button, hit subscribe. We've got more stories that will break you, build you, and remind you of what still matters in this world. Because sometimes the world forgets, but we remember. We fight back, and we protect what matters.